and down on the water by the quay, what used to be the quay and is now going to be a beautiful new facility. But we started in South Florida 40 years ago and moved to Sarasota about 25 years ago, and I have the privilege of being the president. And we are the fastest growing university in the state of Florida. We offer everything from associate degrees to doctoral degrees in a variety of programs. Largest, of course, are right now our medical fields and nursing and radiology, technology, physical therapy assistant, but we also have IT degrees, business degrees, paralegal, and that sort. But I do appreciate you all being here today. You know, never has there been a time that I can remember where events surrounding us make me more acutely aware of the importance of local politics and our local politicians and local elections. So I do appreciate, again, the Chamber for allowing us to hear from these candidates, because this election is a very important one going forward for Sarasota. So thank you and enjoy the series today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan. I'd like to now introduce our chairman of the board this year, Paul Caragiulo.
Oh,
sideways.
Paul,
you had me muted? I had myself muted. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the candidates. You're not supposed to censor what I say, but good morning to everyone. And thank you to Keiser for sponsoring the event, and thank you to the GIC who put the questions together, and to our staff at the Chamber. We've obviously had a lot going on, and they're doing twice the work with the same amount, with half the amount of people. So it's really been a challenge. So I wanted to say thank you to them specifically. To the candidates, I want to say thank you. And from the heart, I have to say that this is an extraordinary time to be wandering into public service. It is, as we might say, it's from the pages that aren't in the book. So I commend you for your willingness to serve, all of you, honestly. So we look forward to hearing what you have to say today, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. And now we'll turn it over to Matt Brockway. Matt serves as our Governmental Issues Council Chairman. And Matt, take it away.
Thank you, Heather. Again, my name is Matt Brockway. I'm a land use attorney and shareholder with ICARD Merrill, and also the chair of the Chamber's Governmental Issues Council. Welcome everyone to the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce State of Community District 2 Candidate Forum. We thank you, all the candidates, for appearing this early in the morning and giving the public and the Chamber's membership a chance to get to know them better and better understand their positions and vision for the city. So what we are going to do procedurally here is each candidate, and we're going to go in alphabetical order initially, will have a 2-minute opportunity to introduce themselves and freely talk about whatever topic they want. Then we will have a series of follow-up questions with a time limit of 1 minute for each answer. And then we will go back and have a 1-minute closing statement from each candidate, and hopefully that will keep us on track to wrap up right around 9:30. So with that, let's open up the floor to Commissioner Alpert.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this forum. I am Liz Alpert, and I've been on the City Commission since 2015. During that time, we've made a lot of progress. Some of those things are being one of the first communities in our area to pass a mandatory mask ordinance. We provided $5,000 in business grants to small businesses struggling during this COVID crisis. We enacted a climate plan to have all our city facilities on renewable energy by 2030. We reduced the number of homeless on our streets by 60%. We approved the first phase of the Bay Project. We created a parks district to provide funding to improve our current parks and acquire additional parkland. We approved a plan to renovate the Bobby Jones Golf Course and create a conservation easement to ensure that it remains a green space and an important watershed. We support a plan for workforce housing, and I've fought to retain our cultural assets such as Selby Gardens and the orchestra. I'm a practicing attorney who served on the city's Human Relations Board and Civil Service Board before being elected to the commission. I served on a city board in Tampa where I learned about historic preservation and smart growth principles. I'm currently serving on the Metropolitan Planning Organization that deals with transportation funding, the Florida League of Cities Transportation Committee, the Public Transportation Task Force, and the Economic Development Corporation, and the Bay Conservancy Board. I'm running to bring innovative and forward-thinking policies to our city, and I'm asking for your vote because even though we've made great progress, I want to ensure that we continue to move forward to create a vibrant, economically healthy, and sustainable city for all of us. Thank you.
All right, next would be Mr. Barbetta. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Matt. And a special thanks to Heather, Brittany, the Chamber of Commerce, and Dr. Morgan and Keiser University. My name is Joe Barbetta. I've lived in Sarasota County for 37 years. The past 20 years, I've been a resident of the city of Sarasota. I'm an attorney admitted to the New York and Florida Bar, and also to practice before the United States Supreme Court. Prior to running for the Sarasota City Commission, I was a county commissioner for 8 years, from 2006 to 2014. And prior to that, I served on the Sarasota County Planning Commission. I'm running because it clearly is time for a change here in Sarasota. The city has had a tremendous amount of dysfunction, a clear lack of transparency in their decision-making, and clearly it's a time for change. I feel that I can offer the leadership, integrity, experience, and fiscal accountability that's long been missing from this current city commission. We look at some of the decisions they've made, the cost overruns on various projects, and it's certainly time that things change here in Sarasota. I look forward to your vote on August 18th, and my website is sarasota-knows-joe.com. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Joe. Next up is Mr. Hyde.
Well, we're good to go. Let's see. I'm here.
Yeah.
Got me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
That's Terry. Okay, you got me. All right, we got a picture of Terry. Let's be clear, everybody. That's Terry Turner, not Martin Hyde. So, assuming that you can hear me, Liz just talked about progress. We obviously don't reckon progress the same way. You know, she created a parks district, which is actually costing taxpayers more money. She tried to give away a part of a park to the orchestra, and she tried to build high rises in a neighborhood. So if that's progress, I can live without it. Why run? Look at this week. Reimagining SPD was what one of our commissioners, Liz Alpert, said. And Tom Barwin walking all over due process without a word of dissent from Liz Alpert. As far as yesterday, 14 shot yesterday at a funeral in Chicago. And reimagining our police department. You've got candidates like Joe Barbetta touting their endorsements with pride when their donor list looks like something from America's Most Wanted. It takes something when a guy with a family to raise and a business to run has to be the one pointing out the free tickets to the Van Wezel that Barwin took, the sunshine violations, stealing $220,000 from citizens during a pandemic for parking, which wasn't being enforced, and tax increases at every turn. I have to do it because nobody else will, which is why I'm the only one who's been to every meeting and spoken at every commission conversation for the past 4 years. I was right about the Lido Beach concession. I was right about Selby Gardens, the orchestra, and Bath and Racket, all of which Liz Alpert opposed, and she lost on every single one of them because she was wrong. I've said lots of times, you don't have to like me, but this city needs me. The only special interest I serve is the truth, and there hasn't been enough of that at City Hall.
All right. Thank you, Martin. Mr. Patterson, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you to the Chamber for this invitation. I appreciate it very much. My name is Don Patterson. I'm a third-generation Floridian. Sarasota is a great city, and I love being part of this city. Very happy to live here. I've had 34 years of business experience. Currently, I founded Ascend Wireless Networks. I currently serve as the president and CEO. I created that company from nothing with my own capital, built it up. My clients include companies like Verizon, one of the top 20 largest companies in America. My remaining clients are all within the Fortune 100. So I know a little bit about serving customers and running a business. One of my other passions here in Sarasota for the last decade, I've raised money to fund Big Brothers and Big Sisters. I currently serve on the board. I humbly served as the chairman of the board, leading the organization as we serve the 2,000 children along the Sun Coast. It's one of my proudest achievements in life. I've dedicated my life to the protection and development of children. I want to serve this community. As everyone recognizes, and Martin points out, city councils across the country are faced with challenges that they've never faced before. It's time for some leaders to step forward, our best and brightest in the community. I'm happy that the six great candidates have come forward. I'm happy to be part of it. I don't want to look back and make critical decisions or critical comments about all the decisions that have been made. I want to talk about the future. So today I'm going to share with you about my ability to create vision, innovation, provide leadership, and execute on the challenges of facing the city. So much.
Right, thank you. Mr. Turner, you're up.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you to the Chamber for giving us this opportunity to talk about our campaigns. There are 5 challengers to Liz Alpert, most of whom have had long and successful business careers. None of us is particularly interested in a career in government, and none of us needs the $28,000 salary. Each of us is running out of a sense of civic duty and in recognition that city government is badly broken. And because Liz has demonstrated that she is simply unqualified for the job. She is overly reliant on Tom Barwin, has followed his lead rather than being a leader on the commission, and has failed to hold him accountable for his many, many mistakes. It really is time for. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Terry. Mr. Wells.
Good morning. I'm Jerry Wells, and I want to say thank you for letting me into your home today. It's no secret our city needs change. We need new leadership, and you're looking at that change. I'm not a recycled politician, and isn't that refreshing? I spent 40 years on Wall Street. I started at Goldman Sachs, and I went on to become a founding partner of Hunter Capital. I fully understand the financial markets and the tsunami that's coming. I'm the candidate best fit to lead our city through this challenging fiscal times ahead. I've seen good times and bad times in Sarasota. My family has been here for 30 years. Hyde and I made Sarasota our full-time home 7 years ago. We immediately got involved and volunteered in community roles. As we quickly became disenchanted with the leadership and the corruption we were witnessing in the city, we said, I have to do more. It's my turn to serve. I'm tired of being forced to pick from recycled, tired, broken down, corrupt politicians, election after election. Our city can do better, which is why I'm running. I am the fresh, new face of politics. I'm not like any of these other candidates who have disgraceful track records. One sent $20 million of taxpayer money to a private interest, and that's where he works now. One hired Tom Barwin, and another can't understand a balance sheet and lets Barwin run the show. I come with a clean new slate, new ideas, and great negotiating skills. I'll bring common sense and a no-nonsense approach to this. A vote for Jerry Wells is a vote for change. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, now we're going to dive into some of these follow-up questions, and we're going to change up, out of fairness, change up the order of candidate answers here. So the first question is as follows. Hindsight being 2020, if you could change one action or decision of the city from the past 2 years, what would it be and why? And we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Barbetta for this question, and then.
Well, it's hard to pick one. There've been so many bad decisions that need to be changed. I would look at, the Bobby Jones golf course that they're considering. I'd certainly look at the roundabouts that they're continuing to build, their transportation concerns. There are quite a few, so it's hard to just limit it to one. But I think probably one thing that they should have done is done something about the city manager. Mr. Barwin has been acting as the sixth commissioner, certainly like a boss mayor, and that's just wrong for the city. They raised the taxes last year. That's probably another decision that should have never happened. So again, it's multiple things, but I would probably say the fiscal accountability that's been sorely lacking.
Thank you, Joe. Let's go to Martin now.
Well, I don't agree with Joe on a tremendous amount of subjects, but he's right. You couldn't pick one. You couldn't make most of it up. The Parks District is a tax grab. It's a disgrace. They knew they were going to run out of money. Barwin knew they were running out of money. Liz didn't know because she can't add up. You should look, if you're looking for fiscal information, look at this website, bestforsarasota.com. It's got a lot of information there. It just shows you exactly what the Ponzi scheme they're running is. As far as bad decisions are concerned, keeping the chief of police where she is, she's clearly incompetent, and everything as it relates to homelessness and parking. So take your pick. They're beyond hopeless, and it's time for change.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Patterson.
Yes, as I've stated earlier, I don't want to spend a lot of time criticizing the past decisions. I would say the one thing that seems to come up almost daily is that Tom Barwin is running the city, and the city commission is really, I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're really not leading the city. They're basically just saying yes or no to the decisions that Tom Barwin puts in front of them. So for me, I'm working for the voters. I'm self-funding my campaign, so I'll have no special interest. I'm going to show up with no agenda, but working for the 57,000 citizens of this town. Tom Barwin will be clear that I work for the voters and he works for the commission, and that's the end of the story. And he can participate and help us create a great vision for the city and support the businesses and citizens, or he can move on.
Right. Thank you very much. Mr. Turner.
Yes, the field is rich with potential mistakes that were made. I would focus, as Joe did and Martin did, on financial mismanagement. We've approved a succession of budgets that have increased city budgets by 25 to 26%. We've allowed staff to go up by 18%. Taxes have gone up. It's simply unsustainable. We're wasting money. The Lido Pavilion, that's a piece of property out there that's probably worth $20 or $30 million. If we were going to lease it to a private developer or a businessman, the lease rate should have been $1 million. The city almost gave it away for 30 years for $120,000 a year. There are so many examples of financial mismanagement that we could spend the rest of the hour talking about them. So that would be the ones that I would focus on, financial mismanagement.
Thank you, Terry. Jerry Wells, please.
Thank you. I think you're asking the question the wrong way. Let's ask it, what's the one thing they've done right? And we'd all be hard pressed to answer that. When you ask them, what have we done wrong? What have they done wrong? You look at it and the laundry list is 10 pages long. And Terry hit it, Martin hit it, and Joe hit it. It's the root of the problem is Tom Barwin. He thinks he's the mayor. He's running the show, and the commission just nods their head. And some of that is because they don't understand the balance sheet. You have 5 commissioners, 3 are attorneys. One is a postal worker and one's an artist. So until you bring a business mind into this, you're going to continue to have this chaotic behavior. And it's no way to run a city, just no way to run a city.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, and we'll wrap up this question with Commissioner Alpert.
Yes, thank you. One of the things that I would have changed if I'd been able to when I got on the commission, the lift station project was well on its way. It had already run into problems because of poor decision making by previous commissions. And so if it hadn't been too far down the road, I would have certainly done something differently than building this giant structure in the middle of Lukewood Park. I think that was just a highly wrong decision. And I want to talk just briefly about the comments about the spending in the city. We have a AAA plus bond rating. Our finance director and finance department gets awards every year for the quality they bring to our financial situation. We've reduced our unfunded liability by $100 million. So the allegation that there's been fiscal irresponsibility is just wrong-headed. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Alpert. So that's a very good segue to the next question here, which ties into the fiscal aspect of the city. Clearly, the city will suffer a reduction in tax revenues as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Would you support raising taxes in an effort to make up this budget shortfall? And we will go ahead and start with Martin Hyde, please.
You know, Liz keeps laughing every time she gets called out on stuff. I don't think it's funny. $254 million last year. That's 27% more than it was 2 years ago. How the hell she says that's acceptable and that's fiscal responsibility? I have no clue whatsoever. She's living in la la land. We absolutely can't increase taxes. We can't rely on a 4.67% increase in property tax values. It's time to reverse it. Save 250 grand firing Tom Barwin and 28 grand because I won't take the salary that she takes and the health care that she takes to soak the city taxpayer. So it's time to change. It's time to be over. And don't even think about telling us that you're doing a good job financially.
So is that a yes or no on supporting raising taxes?
What, you can't listen? I said hell no.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Patterson.
No, I wouldn't raise taxes, and I don't feel it's necessary. Every business owner has looked at their business. The models are changing. Most businesses have had to do a reduction in force, and the city would be no exception. When we look at how you deliver services and how you can be more effective, every business has taken this opportunity to look at deep into their business on how are we going to survive through this change in the economy. And the city's no exception. There's a dozen or 2 dozen things we can look at in the city that are going to save money. The property values have remained stable, so there is a great revenue base there. There's obviously a loss of tax revenue and from visitors and people spending. But I feel it's something that can be fixed, certainly without a tax increase, but it would be a redesign of the cities and the way they deliver services to the citizens.
All right, thank you, Don. Let's go ahead and Terry Turner, please.
Yeah, the only tax that the city could actually increase, they've maxed out all the others, is the property tax. And increasing property taxes in a period where real estate prices are under pressure is just crazy. It would sort of perpetuate the cycle of declining property values. And I think it would be very, very bad economic policy. So I would not support the increase in the millage rate. I expect taxes will decline gradually as the assessed values decline, and we should allow that to happen to provide a little bit of support to the real estate market. The way we're going to have to adjust to this, what I believe to be a $10 or $12 million decline in revenue over the next 3 years.
10-second warning.
Okay, quickly. 76% of our budget is staff, and we're going to have to cut staff. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Terry. Jerry Wells.
Yes, thank you. The only person that doesn't dance around the issue is Martin. He comes right out and says it. The first thing we need to do is cut expenses. The staff is swollen. You can talk about this and talk about that, but the bottom line is, like every other business, you need to cut the expenses. You cut the expenses and there's no reason to claw away at these property taxes. They don't stop. They go on the value one year, the millage rate one year, and back and forth. They keep dancing, they keep pushing the taxes. That ultimately hurts the price of the property. So my answer is cut the expenses, everything else will fall into line. We're gonna have to get used to this. It's gonna come in, we're gonna contract, and we'll deal with it.
Right. Thank you very much. Liz?
I'm also not for raising the taxes during this pandemic. I think, you know, this has been hard enough on businesses, on our residents, that would be the wrong thing to do. One of the things that I think, Don Patterson talked about, and I totally agree with, is that we need to look at different ways to provide services to our residents. And we've already started some of that by updating our technology and those sorts of things. But we've also cut back on, we've had a hiring freeze. We're cutting back on travel, looking at our capital expenditures. So there are things that we can do. We have increased staff over the years because there was such a drastic cut during the Great Recession that we have slowly built up to what it was before. But, certainly we have to look at, we've cut part-time help and look at ways that we can deliver services better. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Alpert. Mr. Barbetta.
Thank you, Matt. Absolutely not. No way should taxes be increased, and also the fees. They need to stop playing around with the fees. The water and sewer rates for the next 11 years are going up 3.5% a year to pay for that abomination called Lift Station 87, which is about $60 to $70 million over budget and 7 years behind. That's just one example of a total mismanagement. The city has not reacted at all for the past 5 or 6 months to the pandemic and the shutdown. They should have furloughed employees. They certainly should have cut all the expenses they could possibly do. Obviously, freeze salaries, wages, and new hires. So there's quite a bit that needs to be done, but no way should they ever raise taxes. Again, getting back to something Martin pointed out, the website bestforsarasota.com has tremendous forensic accounting reports on it. People should look at that. This city, it's smoke and mirrors right now, and it needs to change.
All right, thank you, Joe. Well, it seems that we have unanimity on pledges or supporting on not raising taxes. So in the questionnaire that the chamber sent out, one of the questions was about financing the large project that's in the planning and approval stage, the Bay project. And one of the mechanisms for financing that project that's being discussed is TIF financing. Is this possible, in your opinion, without raising taxes? Is this a viable strategy for financing the Bay? Is TIF financing a viable strategy for financing a portion of the Bay project without raising taxes? And we will go ahead and start with Mr. Patterson, please.
Thank you. It's important right now to take all available bayfront open space and preserve it. And so the Bay project is fantastic for that. I have a couple questions around the ability of these commissions and boards to obligate the city to capital. And if you look at how we executed on Lift Station 87, what are the mechanisms to make sure that we're actually getting what we expect? I've seen numbers, the project was 100 million, then it's 200. And then depending on what video you watch or what you read, it's 300 million to 400 million. So what are we obligated to? So a lot of it was supposed to be private funding. TIF is a great vehicle. I would say, in my opinion, is if TIF is a small footprint, then the money has to go 100% to the Bay. And then again, you read about the city commission wanting to spend the money on other projects.
10-second warning.
So I would keep it very minimal. I'm not against TIF. It's who's accountable and how big is TIF and where is the county sharing? They should equally share in it because it's a regional project, not a city project.
Thank you, Don. Terry Turner.
Yeah, yes, the TIF can be a viable option, and under certain circumstances, I would support it. My concern about TIF financing is it's predicated on the notion that the new park amenity will increase property values in the adjacent areas, and that's likely to happen over the long run. My concern is that the bond indentures and trust agreements get written in a way to make sure that the general taxpayer is not on the hook for paying those bonds off if property values do not increase, and that we should not be issuing bonds until the property values have increased enough to protect the general taxpayer from being on the hook for a $100 or $200 million bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wells?
The Bay Sarasota project is an important project that will create an enormous amount of jobs and tax revenue going forward. We need to build out this project using a blended approach, not just leaning on the TIF. The blend will include proven methods, fundraising, charitable donations, private equity, bonds, and the TIF. And the TIF must stay in that area. We cannot have special interests coming in with their hand out. It's an expensive project, but if we do it correctly, it'll be a jewel for the city and it'll generate an enormous amount of positive cash flow. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Commissioner Alpert?
Yes, one of the things that I ran on in 2015 is I wanted to make sure this Bay project did come to fruition, and I feel very good that we're well on the way. I agree with the TIF funding. I think it's an excellent way to help finance this along with private philanthropy. We had our the Bay Conservancy meeting yesterday, and the private fundraising is going very well. They're on track for what they need to get for the private side, and the TIF funding should be very narrowly focused. I was not one of the people who thought that TIF should be spent in other areas of the city. I think we need to have it, and I think it needs to concentrate on the Bay and the area, the narrow area of the TIF district.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Alpert. Mr. Barbetta.
Thank you, Matt. The TIF is definitely one of the possible funding mechanisms for the Bay. The Bay is obviously a beautiful project. It'll be a legacy project when completed, but it's going to take a significant amount of money. So there needs to be many sources. Relationship with the county is extremely important in order to create the TIF district. So certainly the city and county commissioners need to sit down and go over that. So far, it hasn't gone well. The makeup of the board, 2 city commissioners, 2 county commissioners, 1 independent business person, chosen by all 4. The district needs to be narrow in size, not all over the area of the city, because Tom Barwin wants to do something 20 blocks away. So those are important things. But TIFs and CRAs are normally, particularly CRAs, for downtrodden areas. The TIF can be used here, and I wouldn't have any problem with it if done properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Barbetta. Martin Hyde.
Well, okay. I mean, liberals who don't mind taxes, go figure. Look, this is a regional benefit, and so not a 15-block benefit. So I'm fully against the TIF for lots of reasons. One is it's nowhere near enough money to get this thing done in less than 20 years. And keep talking about a project. Most of us are going to be dead before they get to the end of it. There's only one way to deal with this, which is to have a referendum countywide and ask people if they want to pay for it, and if they do want to pay for it, how they want to pay for it. Taxation without representation is exactly what we've got right now. A TIF for a few blocks is a bad idea, and taking this over 20, 25 years is another bad idea.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde. All right, next question is shifting to one of the projects that was fairly controversial over the last term. What are your thoughts on the Selby Gardens project and the Selby Gardens revised master plan? And we will go ahead and start with Mr. Turner.
Yeah, I think the commission was right to reject that original proposal. It is a proposal that is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. It was very disruptive to the adjoining neighborhoods, and the traffic patterns were not adequately addressed, and the parking garage that was provided was way out of scale. To give you an idea of the scale, It was at least twice the size of the Palace lift station that everybody is complaining about. The revised plan is better. I'm not satisfied that it adequately deals with the disruption in the adjoining neighborhoods, and I'm not satisfied that it deals adequately with
10-second warning.
Thank you.
All right, Jerry Wells.
Yeah, I think that the Selby plan was just overly aggressive. I agree with Terry. You can't put a garage there that's twice the height of the lift station. It would just overwhelm that neighborhood. The plan, I like the modified plan. I like the change. I just don't want to see Selby build that type of a garage facility. I understand they need more parking. It's very popular. We go all the time with our children. It's beautiful. But you just can't overwhelm the neighborhood. And then putting a restaurant on top, putting music out there, getting permits for weddings, it's not fair to the surrounding community. If we were living right there, I know I'd be upset over it. So for me, the original plan was just way too aggressive. I like the modified plan, the scaling back of things. That's just a better way to go. It's a good neighbor policy to just tone it down a little bit.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Alpert, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, I'm certainly on record as having supported the original plan. I don't think it was too tall, and I thought it was much better to use less footprint in the gardens and add more green space by adding a little bit of height to the parking garage. They're allowed to put a parking garage. The revised plan has a parking garage. It's just now we're going to take up more space in the gardens to do that. The restaurant on top was not going to have live music. There weren't going to be events up there. It was just merely going to be people eating outside, which was not what was causing the problems for the neighbors. The problems were the music that come from events that are already there, which has nothing to do with the parking garage. Those events have been going on for years.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Alpert. Mr. Barbetta.
Thank you, Matt. I commend Selby for coming back with a modified plan. I think it's extremely important. I think the City Commission and administration do not fully comprehend the importance of arts and cultural institutions in our community. They provide tremendous economic income, economic impact to the city. They employ several talented people and certainly add to our economic base. So I think the modified plan deserves fair consideration by the commission. And I think they'll, when the new commission is seated, they'll give it, a full study, and I think good things will happen. That's all we can hope for. It's a great institution, just like the orchestra. I think they were unfairly treated, and I think that needs further reconsideration also.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Hyde.
Well, you can't make this stuff up. Liz took 5 donations from people associated directly with Selby. One from the CEO and her husband, one from their land use attorney, and one from their CFO or CEO. She should absolutely recuse herself from this. This is a classic small town politics, bought and paid for. The idea that you would put a massive structure in a neighborhood, slippery slope under Bert Harris. End of the day, if we do it there, we have to do it everywhere. Liz knows that, but Liz doesn't care because she needs the money. She can't afford to run her own campaign like the rest of us. Bottom line here is that, yeah, we should give it full consideration, but Liz Alpert can't have any part of it because she's bought and paid for.
Okay, thank you. Don Patterson.
Yes, thank you.
Did we get a response?
It's important for Selby Gardens to remain relevant in this day and age as the demographics changes. So it's important that they continue to stay profitable. They took an easy path, which sure, why not? But it wasn't conducive to the neighborhood. We have to look at the neighborhoods. It's a busy corner. There's a lot of concrete on 3 adjacent corners. So I think there's a compromise for the neighborhoods. So I think in this case, the neighborhoods have to look at a compromise. Some things you won't compromise. You won't compromise on loud noise. But where can we compromise and give Selby Gardens a way to stay viable 50 years or 100 years into the future? We want to preserve it. That's the key, is we can't let it get into a tipping point where it's not self-sustainable. Not enough private donations keep it viable. and it goes away.
10-second warning.
Possible that it would go away, and that would be a travesty. So let's all work together on a compromise and keep Selby Gardens viable.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Then this is going to be the, I think, the last question before we do the closing statements, and it is as follows. How would you rate the leadership of city administration, and how could it be improved? And we'll go ahead and start with Terry Turner on this one.
3 or 4 on a 10 scale, pretty bad. In need of serious change. Tom Barwin is not being given clear goals and objectives, and he's not being held accountable. His performance is not accessible. When I'm on the commission, I will give him clear goals and objectives. And if he doesn't meet those clear goals and objectives, then we will have to find a city manager who will. The city commission as a whole is not providing leadership to the government or to the city. They squabble among themselves endlessly. And I think that leadership at the top is the first place we need to start. We need to replace Liz Alpert, and then we need to think about whether Tom Barwin needs to be replaced. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Turner. Jerry Wells?
There is no leadership right now. Tom Barwin is running the city, and he doesn't know what he's doing. There's no direction. Go to a city meeting, and Terry is spot on. That all it is like a second grade classroom without a teacher in the room. It's dysfunctional. They're arguing. No one's making any sense. It would be impossible to function and work in that environment. We need to clean it up, start over with a clean slate, and then we'll take a look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Commissioner Alpert?
Well, I think everybody certainly, on this panel knows that overall, I think Mr. Barwin is an excellent city manager. I'm not being led around by Mr. Barwin. We just happen to agree on a lot of things and the forward-thinking ideas for taking this city forward. Because of his leadership and our leadership, as I said, we've lowered the number of homeless on the street. We've created a parks district, and we've done all sorts of things in this city to bring things forward, including coming up with a transportation plan that would help the congestion in our city. And we're working on a vision for a very modern, forward-looking, vibrant city, and I think overall we're doing a pretty good job.
Thank you, Commissioner Alpert. Mr. Barbetta?
Thank you, Matt. I'd give him a 3 out of 10. That's basically just for showing up. It's been a horrible several years. Total mismanagement, lack of oversight, cost overruns, not dealing with the pandemic properly, stubbornness in relationship with the county. The homeless situation is an abomination due to the fact that he wouldn't work with the county in trying to resolve the issue. The city commission has been totally missing on oversight of his work. He did something yesterday with the Bobby Jones submission from the private sector to help manage. He arbitrarily made the decision not to bring it before the city commission. If you look at a lot of his decisions, they read city manager in consultation with the mayor, and the decision is put forward, surprising some of the other commissioners. The mayor's a ceremonial mayor. Mayor's a ceremonial mayor. She has no additional authority than any of the other 4 commissioners other than overseeing the meeting. So it is really time for a change.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Barbetta. Martin Hyde, floor is yours.
Well, I had my head in my hands, poor Liz. Forward thinking, we should call 911 and get some fire department out. Liz's pants are on fire. She's talking about, we've done lots of things. She can't name a one because they're all nonsense. The fact is that they've increased taxes at every turn. They've allowed a liberal city manager from Chicago to come down and tell her which end is up. The fact she agrees with them is sad, not good. Bottom line is we need to fire Tom Barwin. We need to fire Bernadette DePina. And first thing we need to do on August the 18th is fire Liz Alpert, because bless her heart, she's just not up to it.
Thank you, Martin. Don Patterson?
Yes, as citizens and businesses, I feel totally disregarded by the city and almost punished. I feel I got into this race. This is not a career builder for me. I'm a business person. I have a great life, but I jumped into this race because I wasn't going to sit idly by and watch Tom Barwin and the current commission punish the citizens and businesses of this community. I'm not going to complain. I jumped in the race. So they're clearly in over their head. So we need new leadership, people that are sensitive to the business needs, sensitive to what the citizens are looking for, replace all the commissioners and possibly Tom Barwin. But they're doing a poor job. And they really have shown no care or regard for the citizens and businesses of this community.
All right. Thank you very much. I believe that's everyone. So we will move on to the closing remarks here. And Brittany, I'd like to expand the time from 1 minute to about 1 minute 30 seconds. I know a number of statements have been made here during the course of the candidate forum, and I want to give everyone a fair chance to an opportunity to respond to some of those statements if they so desire. So let's start, let's go in reverse alphabetical order this time. And Jerry Wells.
Thank you. I want to thank all of the candidates for participating today, and I want to thank the Chamber for hosting the event. We're all vying for your vote, but I want to earn it more. I'm passionate, I'm motivated, and I will bring that energy to the city. Unlike my competition, I'm running for real reasons. I'm honest. My running for city commission is to protect and to serve. Unlike some of the other candidates here today, my vote cannot be bought. I'm the fresh, new face of politics. I'll bring a simple, common sense, no nonsense approach to City Hall. I'll bring your voice to City Hall. I'll fight for you, and I'll cut the wasteful spending of your hard-earned tax dollars. I'll balance the budget because I know how. I'll fight to keep Sarasota, the arts and culture in the city. I will be a commissioner that listens. When you elect me, you will get a commissioner that cares. I will never let our police department be defunded, and I will keep our city safe and clean. I'm your voice, and I will deliver a brighter future for Sarasota. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Terry Turner.
Yeah, thank you. I've had a career in business that spanned 30 years working at some of the major financial institutions in the world. I've had an extensive career working on nonprofit boards. I was the board chair on the Nature Conservancy of Florida for a number of years and on the board of 1,000 Friends of Florida. I've also had an active involvement in local government, including serving previously on the commission from 2009 to 2013 during the Great Recession. I believe the breadth and depth of my experience qualifies me uniquely to serve as your commissioner, and I ask for your vote, either vote by mail or on August 18th. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Turner. Don Patterson.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. As I've shared, I've never sought public office, and I'm not a politician. I'm a business owner and concerned citizen. So I was willing to jump into this race, take my time, talent, and resources to do my best to serve the city. I want to be humble in the things I've accomplished in this city. I want to continue to have great relationships with everyone that's running, all the citizens, because going forward, I would like to have the opportunity to serve as a commissioner, but also I'm going to continue to be the chairman of the board of Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So that's also important. And I don't want to do anything to criticize individuals of the city to the best of my ability so that we can continue to work together and have a great community. So I would just say I would like your vote. I'm willing to take all my time, talent, and resources to do a great job for you. I started as a small business person. I've been fortunate and my company has grown tremendously. I can understand all the issues in the balance sheet and how to provide leadership. And for me, you'll get vision, you'll get leadership, and you'll get execution. And as I look at the city, I'll re-innovate across the board on how we do things to deliver services to you in a cost-effective and efficient manner. So please vote for me. I would love to have this opportunity to serve this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Mr. Hyde, floor is yours.
Well, there you go. You know, I'm the only one here that actually runs a business in the city of Sarasota, has done for the last 20 odd years. We're one of the most successful companies in the region because we follow simple, basic rules and paths. This city's path is a terrible one. It's like Chicago. You know, Chicago mayor said yesterday, no way will I let Donald Trump's troops come here to terrorize our residents. You know, what she meant was they're better that they be terrorized by gangbangers and terrorists. You know, this is where we're going here, you know, defunding the police, reimagining the police, closing down our street crime unit. That's why I'm endorsed and the only one endorsed by the City Police Officers Union, because they understand where this ends, because they have to go out and risk their lives every day. So this isn't about me. This is about the 58,000 people that will be overtaxed and terrified by criminals on their streets. 50 shootings in the last 4 months in Sarasota. No one talks about that because they don't want to talk about it. I'm here to make a change. I will not shilly-shally around, and I certainly won't kowtow to Tom Barwin. So whatever Liz says, whatever she thinks that she knows, she's completely wrong. It's time for a change. Whether it's me or one of the other four, it doesn't make any difference, but it can't be Liz Alpert.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hyde. Joe Barbetta.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you again to the Chamber for hosting this, and to Dr. Morgan and Keiser University. It's clearly time for a change. We've talked about that before, both on the commission and the administration. I really feel that we've witnessed total mismanagement for probably the past 5 or 6 years. There's no way property taxes should have been increased, and they were. That shouldn't happen. This commission needs leadership, integrity, experience, and fiscal accountability, and I can provide all of that. My time on the county commission, all you have to do is look at the endorsements from my fellow commissioners and other elected officials in the county and the city. Look at prior officials who served. Look at my website, sarasota-knowsjoe.com. You'll find all the positions on there and all the information relative to my campaign. I really feel that we need to bring this city back to where it should be. It needs to not have tax increases. It needs to accept our arts and cultural institutions with open arms. We really need to wake up and realize that this city is much better than our city commission and administration are showing it to be. The Bobby Jones fiasco, certainly the Lift Station 87, the Parks Department, the Parking Department.
10 seconds.
There are so many mismanaged situations in the city that I can make the changes that are needed. Thank you, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Barbetta. And to wrap this up, we will turn it over to Commissioner Alpert.
All right, thank you very much. And I get it that everybody running against me certainly has to make me look bad and incompetent and dishonest in order to make their case. But I haven't heard them offer any solutions to anything. And we've been creating solutions for the past 5 years. We wouldn't be rated the top city in all sorts of publications if we weren't doing a good job of making this city a better place to live. When I first ran for the commission 5 years ago, as I said, I wanted to bring the Bayfront 2020 vision to completion, help resolve our homeless problem, and implement smart growth in our community. And we are well on our way to doing all of those things. Mr. Barbetta talks about that the city and the county haven't cooperated on the homeless. We are cooperating on the homeless. We both have homeless outreach teams. We're working together to get them housed. We're working together to create the Bayfront. We're working together on all sorts of things. I want to make sure we keep moving forward and don't go back to old, tired ideas. We need a smart multimodal transportation system. We need to be planning for sea level rise and sustainability and creating a world-class park system, supporting Selby, and making sure that we keep the orchestra in the city. And with your help, I can get reelected and keep us moving forward. So I'm asking for your vote. Go to votelizalpert.com and join my campaign. Thanks so much.
Right.
Thank you so
again
much.
to all of the candidates for participating in this candidate forum and your willingness to serve. And with that, I will turn it over for closing remarks to Heather Caston.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank you
Matt.
so much, Matt, for moderating today. And candidates, thank you so much. You know, this is all part of the democratic process. And as the Chamber of Commerce, we're so happy to have given you a platform this morning to share your thoughts on such important issues that we have in the city of Sarasota. Thank you everyone for being on the team. I'm going to actually turn it over to Brittany Lamont. We have some really exciting events coming up, and also a reminder about our special Buy Local campaign that's going on.
Thank you. So just wanted to let you guys all know this Friday, we will have our CEO and Joe virtually. That's July 24th. And the topic will be the Bay Project. So an update on the Bay Project, which I know is a topic of today. Don't forget, we will have our District 3 candidates on August 5th, continuing our State of Community series. Thank you again to Keiser University. And just to piggyback on Heather's comments about our S-Hour Q program, which is our Buy Local campaign. This is very easy for you to participate in. Take a photo of yourself visiting one of our chamber members at a restaurant or retail store. Either email it to myself, you can email it to communications@sarasotachamber.com, or you can tag us and enter to win a $100 gift card. We've got a lot of different gift cards from our different chamber memberships. So just a reminder to buy local and support during this time. Thank you all and have a great day. Thank you again to our candidates for participating.
Thanks, Brittany.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.